Beautiful. How's it going, Brendan?
It's going well, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Nah, man. Thanks for joining us, yo. For those of y'all that don't know, the homie Brandon Collins joining us in. You know what I mean? Super subbing for superstar Shalewa Sharpe out there in these streets, traveling. Brandon's one of us. He's grinding out here.
Yeah, I am grinding. If there's anything that I feel like, could help me somewhat substitute for Shalewa while she's out, is that I am a grinder. I've been nonstop since I was 13, bro, and I need to slow down because I'm getting old.
Respect. Yeah, that is very early to start grinding, my man. What was the motivation at 13?
Nintendo 64. I was 13 and my mom refused to buy me one. And I was just like, well, I'm not going to let these white kids in the suburbs stun on me. So let me get a job. And then I got a job in a movie theater, which worked out perfectly because I'm a cinephile. So it was
dope.
It's one of the happiest jobs I've ever had. Like I did not mind the bullshit customers and having to scoop popcorn or clean movie theater, aisles all day. Like that was like my jam. Like I still think about those days longingly. Like, oh man, if only I could support a family on a salary and being an usher in a movie theater.
That's what's up. I have to tell you, you are, I think, the only person that I feel has become a regularly functioning adult that I know that also worked at a movie theater. All of my movie theater friends have super shady jobs that I love and appreciate that they still pull off that lifestyle today.
Yeah.
Cause they're the movie theater hustle allowed them, the movie theater, it was like a gateway drug to a lot of cool hustles, yeah. My boy Tooth worked at the movie theater and he also sold phones that he found at the movie theater. And once you figure out that there's other ways of making money, you don't go to a 9 to 5 from there.
Yeah, there's I used to be so I tell this story a lot, when I'm talking to young people about work experience. So I was an assistant manager at Subway sandwiches when I was 16. And
respect.
So of course everyone at, who reported to me was significantly older than me. I'm talking mid 30s for some of these dudes. And one of them was kept trying to hustle mix CDs to customers after he would do an Italian B&T, be like, oh, by the way, I also rap. And it's a white dude because 8 Mile just came out. So he was he's I got to put pen to paper, baby. And then so he'd be rapping at the sandwich oh, I rap. And then they'd be like, how would I know that? You're a sandwich artist. How would I know you rap? And then so he's trying to peddle the $6.99 CD. And I'm just bro, you can't do this.
At all.
But
would you been
I respect the hustle, the effort, because it's hey, with your sandwich, you want my terrible raps and Fruity Loops beats.
Oh, that's awesome. I commend that. I think that's beautiful. I as a former retail and blue collar job manager, I think I would have allowed it if he gave him away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, listen, if you want to push your hustle on the side, by handing it to customers, I ain't gonna knock you for promoting, but you can't do business while doing business.
Yeah, but when you're poor, you can't really give away shit for free. You know what I mean? It's if you're doing well, you're not gonna be hustling CDs while you're making sandwiches. While the sandwich is baking in the oven, you're not gonna turn around and be like, hey, so you ever thought about investing in real estate? You're not gonna you shouldn't be doing a second hustle.
Oh man, I promise you, there is somewhere a Subway artist that is also a cryptocurrency advisor on Instagram right now, and I'm right.
Oh, motherfuckers from college that used to pee in the washing machines on campus are on Facebook peddling stock advice. I'm bro, what are you doing? No one's gonna take you seriously.
Oh man, I respect the growth. It comes from everywhere, you never know what to expect. Yeah, I dig that. So at 16 you were a Subway. There's so much about that is awesome to me. I'm just picturing the Subway franchisee owner. He's yeah, I need to hire somebody. I got to put someone in charge.
Yeah.
Everyone's 35 and up, but I can only trust this sophomore.
It kind of was that. I started working there I think the summer after my freshman year in high school, and I was just a sandwich artist, right? That's all I did. And then I left when school started, and I think that following summer, I was going to do like some odd jobs. I wasn't planning on going back to Subway, and the owner called me. Well, he actually called the house, and my grandmother spoke to him. She's like, "Oh, this gentleman called like about Subway, and he wants you to be an assistant manager." I was like, "What?" And then yeah, essentially he was like, "You're one of the few people I can trust." Like I had access to the safe. I had like I was doing drop off deposits and stuff like that. Yeah, I was doing all kinds of stuff like at 16.
Yo, low key, you could be like a Subway legend right now, man. I mean, you could have taken over the Subway chain or something.
I know how all the stuff works, man. I used to make my own breads. Like I used to do the topping for the honey oat bread, on Italian, so that the flavors would pop a little bit more. I never understood why they just did it on wheat. Like it really tastes very good on Italian bread.
Yo, that's fire.
Yeah,
can I ask for that like remix? Like if I go to a Subway,
they would have to like do it at the very beginning of the day because remember, like they like you bake all the breads.
Yeah.
And like the only time like during the day when they like do that again is after like the rush and they make new bread. So you would have to be very specific getting there. And then like it has to be right when like they're frosting the bread. Well, I don't even know if it's really bread, but when they're frosting the product and then they're putting on the sprinkles. Because that's what they do before they put it in the oven. They put on like the cheese and the jalapeno or the wheat, the grains and stuff like that. They put all that before they put it in the oven. So if you're lucky, you could try to make it happen. You could try to make it happen.
You have no idea what you've just inspired. Okay. And that is a new life goal for me. I love that. I think that's awesome. I think so much about this. Because it reminds me of like there's like a lot of like off beaten paths that you don't realize you could have gone down. You like I don't know if you're a football fan, like Bill Parcells. Like he's a retired football coach now. He like won Super Bowls with like the Giants and all that. If you read his biography, like he made a life choice early on because he loved playing football to become a coach, and he took like a low paying job. He had to talk his wife like into it, saying, "Hey, like this is gonna pay like 15 G's a year, but I'm gonna be an assistant at a college because I really love this." And at the time, he was making pretty good money managing a pizza store that like he got the job in college to pay bills, and he slowly moved up to manager, kind of like you did. He was like a young kid and they trusted him. They opened up like 3 other stores, and he was like the only guy like in charge of a store that wasn't the owners. And when he told them, "Yo, I'm quitting to go play football," they were like, "Yo, we were going to open up another 8 stores and put you in charge of 5 and give you 15% ownership." And he was like, "Nah, B, I love football. I appreciate it, but I love football." And now that's Pizza Hut.
Yo, oh, well, that's wild. That's wild. Still, like, he did his call. He went to his calling, and I
respect it. And man,
yeah, man, I'm actually. It's funny you brought that up because I might be dealing with a similar life situation right now where things are going really professional, like really well professionally in like that tech ed industry.
Yeah,
but I might have an opportunity with like my creative endeavors where it might take me away from that. So it's interesting that you brought that story up.
Yeah, B. I'm sorry to put that back on the mind. I know you came here to relax, chill. And I ain't putting life shit on you again.
I'm Black and American, man. I can never really relax and chill. I take edibles, but that's about as close to that's forced relaxation.
Oh man, I love it. Shouts to Drunk Black History, by the way. Great podcast. Love what y'all do over there. Had a great time being one of the guests. Dope work.
Yeah,
and the live shows are awesome.
Man. You gotta come through the live show. It's such a the last one was like I can't even describe the vibe. It's
I'm
insane.
with it. Let's do it. Drunk Black History. Check it out. Podcast covers has comedians come in and cover a black historical figure that's kind of been ignored. Yep. And while doing the podcast and we're talking over the character, we're a little happy, we're a little tipsy. We're having a drink of choice. So it's a beautiful vibe. I love what they built over there. And for War Report listeners, you specifically know this podcast because the co-host, Gordon Baker Bone, was on the War Report's only missing episode. Okay? It is the lost tapes.
The only missing episode the audience knows about.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You recorded a few where you're like, "Oh fuck, let's go." Nobody got it.
That's it. Right there. It's like the Wu-Tang albums that got lost in the flood. That's what it is right there, okay? He came on a podcast, recorded a great episode. Me, him, and Shalewa had a blast. I messed up the audio trying to figure out the configurations, didn't give Gordon good advice.
Mhm.
Okay. So now the audio got butchered. And instead of putting it out, I actually recorded an apology song and sent it out as the episode that week. So yeah, we back here though. We got the other half of the podcast. We're gonna have a good vibe. Let's get into the news, y'all.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Bang. Kicking off this week, we got the Black Panther director, Ryan Coogler, speaks out after being mistakenly detained by police. The Black Panther director was in Atlanta attempting to withdraw $12,000 from his account with Bank of America. The teller received an alert on his account, according to the police report obtained by CNN. Because the amount was more than $10,000, the teller notified her superior that she thought Coogler was trying to rob the bank, and 911 was called. Coogler had a written note on the back of his withdrawal slip stating that he wanted the money to be counted discreetly, given the amount, according to the report.
Mm-hmm.
When police arrived, two of his colleagues who were waiting for him in a parked vehicle outside the bank were detained and placed in the back of a police car. Coogler was placed in handcuffs while white police investigated the call. He was released shortly after they verified his identity, the police report states. This situation should have never happened. However, Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on, Coogler said in a statement of Variety. Yo.
And this happened a while ago, too. I'm surprised it just came out. A few thoughts come to mind with this story. One is Ryan Coogler at this point is a millionaire. Like, my man got his start like in film school. His first big film was Fruitvale Station. Then he did Creed, and then he did Black Panther. My man got money now, right? So just upon opening up his account, she should have saw those, however
zeros.
there are to get to a millionaire. And they're like, oh, okay, he's good. But to be fair to the bank for a second, I will say they're always get alerts when it's more than like a few $1,000s, because we did Blank Check on Media and Popcorn, the movie review podcast.
Right.
Boy, Justin went on a rant where he was like, this little white boy took out $1 million to cash with a check. He was like, do you know you can't take out $1 million at any bank anywhere? You can't even take $20,000. Otherwise, the bank will be like, nigga, what the fuck you need $20,000? So, like, I can see that. But at the same time, in the note, it doesn't say, like, put all the money in the bag, don't say shit. It's like, hey, can you just count this in a separate place so I'm not,
out here with 10 G's? Yeah. I feel like 10 G's is still, it's right before I have questions. Like, it's like 10, 12,000. Like, I know that's a lot of cash, but I wouldn't like identify the cops over that. I feel like there's plenty of situations where like I would want that. And granted, and like I gotta say, even if you see a whole bunch of M's in my account, right? I come in, you don't know me, but I'm in Atlanta. You gotta assume strip club celebrity gonna go down right now.
Yep.
So I don't see like why this is so out the norm. Like, you telling me like all these dudes just show up with all that cash on hand from a previous state? I figured there's got to be banks over there that are like aware. Hey, we got a popping scene out here. We need cash.
Yeah, but that's Bank of America though. Like, they've been known for some racist stuff. I know we're gonna talk about homeowner stuff later on, and like Bank of America is not a good place. Like, I'm definitely like trying to take my money out of there as soon as possible. But you know what it is? It's crazy because it was a black female teller.
You should recognize the dude.
Well, that's the thing. He did have he had the glasses on, he had the mask, he had like the beard and stuff. She probably did think he was like some Kendrick Lamar looking dude that's trying to rob the bank. Like, she probably jumped immediately to the stereotypes that Bank of America probably embedded in her, because it is Atlanta and it's now the movie making mecca. It's like you got Perry's studio, you got Marvel making movies there, you got a bunch of people making movies in Atlanta. So it is weird, and I'm sure she was embarrassed as hell when she found out who he was. Like, you got the director for Black Panther arrested, right?
She got to own that, yo.
Mm-hmm.
She got to say that at Thanksgiving.
She could never cook out
at all. She's banned.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone, because it's gonna come up. Whoever she dates is gonna bring up Black Panther at some point for the rest of her life. You know what I mean? That's gonna come up at dinner parties.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that poor girl.
She almost destroyed Black Panther too. Which, by the way, man, this just makes me so sad for Ryan Coogler, because he had to deal with obviously, like, we all had to deal with the death of Chadwick, right? but he was so happy with the story he had put together for Black Panther 2. Chadwick passes. Then you got Leticia over here acting crazy about COVID stuff. And then they had to shut down several times because of COVID cases. It's like, this has just been a nightmare shoot, and then to also get arrested for a few minutes while you're trying to make some money. Like,
how is getting arrested for taking out your own money like the fourth most stressful thing to happen to you on the shoot? Like, that's wild, yo. He is dealing with it, man. Yeah. Good luck, Ryan. You a legend in the making, homie. You making amazing films. Absolutely. You deserve better, though, okay? I don't own a bank, but when I get a bank, I'm going to have exactly $12,001 so you can take out whatever you need to take out. Come see me, okay?
Is your bank going to take rush cards?
Most definitely. Exclusively, actually.
No one else takes these things.
It's all we do here, okay? That's it, baby. We got a real niche market, okay? But we here exclusively next door to Crown Fried Chickens. Come see us. In other news, Wordle and your brain. Does playing make you smarter? That's right. Wordle bragging, arguably one of the newest forms of humble bragging, has taken over social media, solving the 5-letter daily puzzles and doing it in only 3, 2, or even your first attempt is a badge of pride for many. But does being good at Wordle mean you're smarter than the average person or even a fellow puzzler? No, says memory and learning research expert Aaron Seitz out here shitting on people, a.k.a. you could tell he's not good at the game. A professor of psychology also at University of California, Riverside, who founded the university's Brain Game Center. You're just the person who does well at Wordle versus another person who doesn't do as well on Wordle. He definitely doesn't do well at Wordle. It's much like people who are really good at Scrabble, so good that they compete in international tournaments, says Penny Paxman, professor of psychology. Are these real people? These are real professors at University of Calgary. I promise y'all I'm reading a CNN article, but these names are amazing. Scribble players recognize words faster, especially in vertical and orientation, but we didn't find that those advantages transferred to non-Scrabble related tasks. As soon as you show them some other kind of visual pattern or symbol that's not a letter, they just look like non-experts. Huh, look at that. I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, this Wordle craze, I haven't gotten into it. Like, I play Words with Friends. I read a lot. I write a lot. I don't need to spend extra time just finding words on the app. Like, I'm good. So, yeah, I wouldn't assume that people that do good at Wordle would be smart. Like, people that do that are good at like Sudoku.
Yeah, that impressed me.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get into Wordle like that either, and I feel like anytime someone's like, yeah, I'm really smart because I'm good at a game with words, I remind them that like I talk for a living. And like, I'm like, I think I got, a pretty good grasp of the language, even if I sound like how I sound. Okay. I'm out here. This is what we do. So I'm going to let y'all keep these Wordle streets for you. Okay. I'm a little on edge about this because like, yo, so look, on a personal note, this is how my day started today. Right. Pardon me, like my midday. I'm picking up my son early from school. Today's parent-teacher conferences, so they get out early.
Was he nervous?
And he's usually nervous, but he has a good report card always.
Okay.
Like this is his lowest report card average, and it was an 87, right?
Okay.
So he's usually like in the 90s. He was a little nervous. This is the first time he was below 90. And the reason he was below 90 because he got an 85 after getting a 95 in English.
Okay.
So I asked him, what's going on? And he's like, I'm struggling writing a story. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we're working on this thing. It's called The Hero's Journey. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I don't know if you know about it, but, we're trying to write a story that fits that format. And I'm like, I don't know if you know, but like, I tell stories for a living, like literally on stage. That's how we eat as a family. Like we survive because I tell stories. And he's like, yeah, but like that's because you see a story and then you tell it on stage. I was like, no, I see moments and then see how I can tell that as a story. And I happen to also make it funny. I add a layer on top of that. And I was like, on top of that, you literally walk by the Webby Award that I won for telling stories every day, at least like 6 times. Like, I'm pretty good at it. And like, on top of that, I don't teach a lot of things. I happen to teach storytelling.
Yeah.
So like, I'm also pretty sure I know this one subject better than your teacher.
Yo, you're so baffled. You're just like, son.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like, and I was like, yo, because I was going off because I'm like, yo, listen, I'm not going to front. Like, my pops is upstairs right now installing my laundry machine for me. I suck at the typical dad stuff. I ain't blue collar like that. Like, I don't got the lights go out. I don't know what to do. I hear you, you know? I ain't the guy for all of those things. You want to play catch? My shoulder hurt, my G. I can't do that. I've been busy writing, all right? But this is my wheelhouse. This is the one thing I'm supposed to nail, and you know it. You know what I do. I know you sneak in at night and watch my videos on YouTube. You take the parental filter off, see my curses on TV. Mm-hmm. You know I do this. How you not gonna think, oh, I should ask the guy that writes for a living? How do I write something?
You know, but that's tough though, right? If that's like your career, bro, like think about like did John David Washington go to his dad, Denzel, and be like, hey man, like how do I do this acting thing? Like, you know, I think it's intimidating, right? To go to like your parent, especially if it's something that you're struggling with. Like you don't want to look like you're letting the person down, you know? It's probably just your son trying to make sure he ain't letting you down, bro.
Oh, you a nice person, Brandon. Okay.
That's what I would assume if it was my son. I'd be like, hey, man, you're not gonna let me down. Don't worry about this. He's like, Dad, I don't care about you. Just
I gave him none of that. I was like, you better not make me look bad. Okay. You should be out here crushing stories the way I crush stories. And if you don't know what you're doing, come see me. I'm right here. Okay.
So it sounds threatening.
Hell yeah.
You want to see me? I'm right here. Like,
better step your game up, my G. Okay. I want you to succeed because my name is on the line. Okay. And also, it's good for your life. But still, first priority, you got my last name. You got to look good out here. Okay. Get it right. People assume. In other news, teacher of the year. Not me. Teacher of the year. Suspended for showing students a picture of her fiance. Wins a $100,000 settlement. That's right. Texas art teacher who was placed on administrative leave after talking about her future wife in class hopes her settlement with the school district will change the lives of others in the LGBTQ community. Stacey Bailey, who was on paid leave, reached a $100,000 settlement with Mansfield Independent School District last week. The district near Fort Worth agreed to remove the 8-month leave from her record, as well as offer mandatory training on LGBTQ issues to human resources and counseling staff in its schools. The 2-time Teacher of the Year was given a welcome back to school presentation in August of 2017 to her class when she showed a photo of her then fiance dressed as characters from the movie Finding Nemo, according to court documents. A parent complained to the school saying that Bailey was promoting the homosexual agenda, according to court documents. That's one of the biggest reasons that I did stand up, because I think that she means she stood up for the cause, not she tried to do what we do for a living. Because I thought if I was confused, I took that as a threat. That was the only thing I was offended by so far. Like, what? Because I thought if I would have stayed silent or I would have resigned, that this would have just happened to someone else after me. Being able to finally talk about what happened is a relief for Bailey, but it's also been bittersweet, said her attorney. She is glad to finally be able to speak up about this. She's talked about how she's a gay teacher, a dedicated gay teacher, and they put her through a lot of pain, but she is hopeful that some of the provisions of the settlement will make Mansfield ISD a more tolerant place for the LGBTQ community. Bailey taught for 10 years at Charlotte Anderson Elementary School in Arlington. The teacher was transferred to Lake Ridge High School, which is the same school district, at the end of the 2018 school year.
That's wild, man. I mean, why do people care what other people are doing? Right? Like if that teacher had a picture of her husband, there would be no complaints. But
seriously.
Because she has a different lifestyle that isn't impacting your child, you're gonna say they're promoting the homosexual agenda. You mean promoting love? Like, which is probably nothing that's available at your house. Like these states, right? Like we're getting to a really weird place in America with like the states' rights and essentially prohibiting people from living their lives when they're not harming other people, right? Like Florida just passed that "Don't Say Gay" law, right?
Right.
Which is nuts. Like in Texas, they have a lot of laws that are problematic. Like it's just, but the people making these decisions are old white guys who don't care. We're just like,
Yeah.
this is the way it should be, and I gotta take back my country because it's changing, getting too brown. Too brown and gay. I can't handle the rainbows. Now I gotta celebrate Juneteenth. What is that?
Oh man, he wilded out there. I don't, and like you got the like what I'm picturing is like some kid described this to her mom, and she was like, "That's promoting the gay agenda." Like, so like when she says the teacher showed a picture of her and her wife, that must have like set off a bell. But like you got to keep listening to the kid's story to see if it's actually a gay picture, you know? And then she says they're dressed up as Finding Nemo characters. Those were just friends all over that movie. There's no like real love story in that. What about that was promoting the gay agenda? So like if she would have just took a picture with her sister, the picture's cool, right? It's still two women in the picture dressed up as dope characters in this movie. So like you just got some parents really pissed off about a picture of people in costumes. That's like super weird. Like you gotta own that as a parent.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were triggered by the beginning of Finding Nemo and they saw that picture just like warped them a little bit. But it's also like the thing that bothers me about that situation is that's what that parent said publicly, right? About the situation.
Yeah.
So at home with that kid that maybe is way more open-minded than they are, they're saying some really homophobic stuff.
Yep.
And probably racist stuff. If we're gonna just like go down that road, that's most likely as well. And so it's just like, people are not mindful of, you can have your views, but you need to make sure that your kids have an opportunity to form their own opinions.
Yeah.
Otherwise they're gonna some of these states that are like, we're not gonna talk about racism. We're not gonna, you could talk about, Martin Luther King, but you can't talk about what caused the civil rights movement. Things like that. So you're gonna raise all these kids that are ignorant as hell about American history. Then they get into the real world and people start punching them in the face because they say some crazy shit. In 20 years, this could be like the news reports are always gonna be like, Walter Brockman was punched outside of Biddy Early's today when he said to a black man, "There's no such thing as slavery."
I'm ready for that era. I love it.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, bro.
I do think, and it's gonna happen earlier. Like that is a shift I've noticed very distinctly amongst kids. They are more they're more direct about acknowledging when something's wrong in this generation. Like I remember studying Black history during our allotted month in school and always like feeling like it was clean. Like, oh, he went through, like they would talk about the same 3 to 4 people and it felt like, okay, we overcame that. We don't have that problem anymore. Yeah. And like, that was kind of the angle. And like, I didn't realize. So I would say like high school and like definitely college were like, oh, there's more to this story. I started reading like Soul on Ice and like shit like that and like getting different perspectives of those periods. But like by the same token, in 2nd grade, my son, I had to talk him back. Like he came home after his first Black History Month in school. Okay. He came home on some like, yo, Dad, I hate white people. I was like, whoa, like that's not the, I don't want the other extreme either.
Hey, slow down, kid.
Yeah, slow down. Like, and I had to like pull him back. I was like, yo, listen, hold on. We got to cover these topics. There was some hateful people. They happen to be white, and there's still some of them today. But we can't just dismiss that whole population either. Let's rein it in. Also, you're 7. I don't need you having hate in your heart from today. Yeah. But yo, like but it did like on like one hand I was concerned, but also on the other end I was like surprised that like the topic hit him that hard, and he told me that like it was because the teacher I know for a fact was younger, probably a little bit younger than even I was. So like grew up in an era where those topics hit home differently and were more openly discussed.
Yep.
And B, when I was done with those classes in second grade, I moved on because of how it was covered. Whereas the way it was covered in his class hit him so hard that he told me that's all they talked about at lunch that day. He was like, all of his like friends in at lunchtime, they were like, that's what the huddle was about. So like in some ways I was kind of like, okay, like you went a little too far here. You went a little Malcolm on me, homie. But like I kind of dig that you're like forming an opinion and that you're being taught a more well-rounded version of it. And you know, we could rein that in. So yeah, he's found some white kids that he's cool with now, you know, and it's he's getting the other perspective. But yeah, I am fully expecting him one day to knock out a racist dude one day, and I'll be proud to hear it. You know, he out there, baby.
Yep. As a black guy that grew up in the suburbs, surrounded by mostly white people, I can attest. Like there will be moments when, as brown people in America, you're gonna have to probably punch somebody. Some wild shit.
It is what it is. You know, we own it. You know, it's part of what we do here for y'all. Okay, consider it a free service. We dope. You know, home prices could soar another 20% this year, but black families are struggling to benefit. The nation's sizzling housing market is a double-edged sword. Millions of existing homeowners have gotten a boost as they watch their equity grow, but millions more would-be homeowners are struggling to get their foot in the door, especially buyers of color. As of January of this year, the typical U.S. home has gained more than $50,000 in value from the year prior, a jump of almost 20% as millions of buyers bid against each other in a market defined by historically low inventory. The Sun Belt, which has been a relatively affordable alternative to the ultra expensive coastal markets, was especially hot, with home values in major markets gaining as much as 45%. It is increasingly looks like this year will be more of the same. Home value growth was already reaccelerated well ahead of the typical spring shopping season. So yeah, it is big time growth in terms of property. Typical black household has less than a quarter of the wealth of a typical white household. A $3 trillion gap that is widened in the past decade. Housing disparity brought by generations of systematic inequality, such as redlining and disparate credit access, account for nearly 40% of that gap. Black-owned homes are worth about 18% less than white-owned homes.
Yeah, up until gentrification happens. Like we bought a house in Woodhaven, and
congrats, homie.
Thank you. It's dope because there's very few white people that I see in this neighborhood until I get towards Marcy Avenue, which is another confusing thing because you know, Jay-Z talking about the Marcy project, and then you go off that stop and it's nothing but hipster white people. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, in Woodhaven it's still fairly brown, not ethnic, which is nice. But I know it's just a matter of time with a few years where they're gonna start moving in, and that will bring up the home price. But at that point, I might be like, I'm kind of over New York.
Yeah,
just because,
and that's how they get us.
It's too much. It's too much at that point.
Yeah, and that's kind of how they've gotten us. Like, you know, it's when it's come time for that like cash out. You know, it's unfortunately been one of the few investments we've been allowed to make for such a long time that it's been also the only thing we can sell to afford a retirement. So we end up leaving these communities, whereas, you know, with other credit advantages, access to jobs that had 401ks earlier than we did until probably this last generation, you know, a lot of people that have
wealth too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's just so many other retirement tools that people have had of those in those communities that when they come into ours, they can buy our homes but keep theirs. So you can like hand off that home, and whereas we have to sell the home to go retire in a more affordable place and leave away that essentially that, you know, tool of building wealth, which is that home in a ideal environment.
Definitely. And also certain people, especially for certain like high income levels, they know the game already. That's the thing.
Yeah.
My wife and I had to navigate this essentially by ourselves with the guidance of our realtor, who we happen to get along with fairly well. but like we couldn't reach out to our families. You know, like our grandparents own property, but like they're both so old on both of our sides that they don't really remember what it was like. And it was also like in the 70s when they bought houses, right? So
Yeah, right.
our moms, we couldn't go to them. If anything, they were like, "So what's it like buying a house?" I'm like, "It's stressful. It's incredibly stressful. The banks are playing games."
Word up.
But we got very fortunate because so at the beginning of COVID, I got laid off, and I worked at WeWork. I don't know if you know anything about WeWork, but
A little bit.
they were this essentially space sharing company in various big cities where they've essentially rent out like big floors in like corporate buildings, right? And they would gut them and make little mini offices. So if you had a startup, you could you could rent an office there. If you had a big company, like you could do their enterprise program and have, WeWork would make it all stylized and like kind of hip and stuff. But
Dope.
they were hemorrhaging money, like hand over fist, just burning billions and billions of dollars every year, right? And then they finally
Okay.
imploded at the beginning of COVID. So I got let go, but they gave me like 4.5 months of severance.
Okay.
That was like not paid in one lump sum. They paid it over 4.5 months. And then they were like, you can get another job and we won't stop paying you. So then I got very fortunate because of my network. The day I got let go, 2 days later, somebody reached out to me about a job opportunity. The following Monday, I had a job offer. So even with
Nice.
me taking some time off, I was able to like essentially over the summer when no one was doing shit in 2020 because it was the summer of COVID, right? Like
Yeah.
I just was saving money, just banking money and buying shoes. That's all I was doing. So by the end of the year, when Tati and my wife's name is Tati, we're thinking about like, hey, should we renew our lease? Should we look outside the city? Like, what do we want to do? She's like, we should try to buy. Like, let's just see what happens. The worst thing is we don't find a space or it doesn't work out and we still have an apartment. I'm like, all right, bet. And so we did it. But it was incredibly stressful, bro. It was like buying a house is probably the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. The numbers don't seem real. Like when they're showing you like that paper with the projected mortgage payments, and it's like a book of dates, and like there's a date that it's like August 2045. I'm like, what? I'm making payments when? Like it blows my mind. But like I'm 9 years into my mortgage on the house I'm in. And I'm ahead of schedule. I'm like half paid off. And when I got the crib, I remember thinking how outlandish the number of my mortgage was. I'm like, this is such a crazy idea to be committing to pay this amount of money on a 3-family house that I'm gonna be living in the smallest apartment in, right? And then now I'm looking at it and I could charge for rent for each apartment what my mortgage is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where the wealth comes in. Like now, like this whole back end, I'm ahead like crazy, and admittedly, the whole reason I bought the crib is because my dad like made me. He said, "No, you're buying a house. It just is what it is." It was like one of the last times that like he was like, "I'm telling you what to do. I know you're an adult, but like no, like you're not gonna make this mistake or whatever." And fully thankful, sincerely. I would have definitely had a real fly ass car and been living in one of his apartments right now. So
he told you what he gave you guidance. And
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like our families occasionally have like these nuggets of wisdom where you're like, okay, that was useful, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll say stuff that's cuckoo bananas. You're like, why are we related? Like, why is this my life?
That's it, man. You just gotta have a good batting average. As long as you coming out ahead overall, I'll deal with the knuckleheadedness every now and then. This is what it is. But yeah, get out there, buy property. Let's flip this whole situation out there. But good luck to those trying to buy in New York, where like 20% down means you need to save 10 grand a year for 30 years. I don't even know how that's possible anymore. It's just crazy.
I would recommend people look into buying condos. In reflection, I feel like that's probably the route that my wife and I should have gone because we don't have kids, so we have this big ass house for just the two of us.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, oh, if we had a condo, we could have some flexibility to like travel and be out of New York for a long period of time, and we can Airbnb or rent out the condo. And we're
Word up.
covering, but it is what it is. You learn it, you live and you learn, right? That's the whole thing for people like us. We have to like
Yeah.
learn from experience, whereas people have generations of experience doing this shit.
Yeah, that's all it is. I'm in here in a 3 family. You know what I mean? I got small space, but I got people that for some reason hand me money every month, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I also get to play a small role in slowing down gentrification in my neighborhood. I rent almost exclusively to black and brown folks in all of the apartments I own, and most of the apartments that my dad owns. I've been able to kind of keep that. But it's kind of like interesting to have that kind of informal control of your neighborhood. I've appreciated. So yeah, it's cool. Get out there, buy stuff, you know, or let's take over a neighborhood, send us a DM what neighborhood you want to buy up. You know, I mean, we can take over a hub. Like Dayton, Ohio is cheap. We go out there, baby. You know, buy some properties. I don't know. It might not be a good idea. Dayton
and down south, they could use our boats, so that's not a bad idea.
Real talk, B. We could flip a state right here on this podcast, baby. Let's do it,
bro. That's the biggest fear of the federal government, like certain state governments. You know that, right?
Yeah,
is that like black and brown people migrating to like states where there's very few of them, and then we take over as the voting population and power, and we flip states.
Look at that.
They want us to stay in these big cities and stuff like that.
That's kind of ill. Look at that. I stumbled on this idea. Brendan actually knew the information.
I just read Charles Blow's book, The Devil You Know, where he argued for black people essentially migrating back down south to change the game, because we'll have more power being like in a collective in areas where historically they haven't been good for us, but we could flip it by becoming power in those states and change things internally. So that's like his big argument. It's like, get out of cities, because in fact, some of these big cities are more racist than down south at this point. Like New York, like even like the killings on our black men, like way higher than you would expect in Mississippi or Texas and stuff like that. Same with California. He's like, just look at the stats. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he's got a fair argument. I don't know if I'm moving down south yet, but I'm open to the idea. I grew up in Michigan, so as long as I'm not going back there, I'm good.
Hey, I'll listen to it, why not? Let's do it up. I'll be out there, Florida, Georgia. I'm coming for y'all, baby. We gonna make changes.
Nice. Georgia would be nice as long as I don't have to go to Bank of America, I guess.
Amazon nears tipping point of shifting from rainforest to savanna, study says. That's right. I like reading articles with Amazon as the first word, because I don't know where it's gonna go. The Amazon rainforest may be nearing a critical tipping point that could see the biologically rich and diverse ecosystem transformed into a grassy savanna. The fate of the rainforest is crucial to the health of the planet because it is home to a unique array of animal and plant life, stores a huge amount of carbon, and strongly influences global weather patterns. Scientists say that about 3/4 of the rainforest is showing signs of resilience loss, reduced ability to recover from disturbances like droughts, logging, and fires. Their study is based on month-to-month observations of satellite data from the past 20 years that has mapped the biomass, the area's organic material, and the greenness of the forest to show how it has changed in response to fluctuating weather conditions. Bang.
Bro, I mean, global warming is real, man. Like, this is not good news. I think the UN just had like a report where they were like, we are so close to the point of no return when it comes to climate change. Like, what you just read about the Amazon, the ice caps are melting at a like astronomical rate. Like, we are in trouble. Like, just 2 days ago in New York, we had the day after tomorrow storm. I was like, are we going to have to call Dennis Quaid? Like, what the fuck is happening here? It was terrifying. Like, the winds in the water. Like, in the rain, I'm glad I'm not outside.
That's wild. My kids were confused. They were like, we went to school in a T-shirt one day, a coat the next day, a rain jacket. And like they stressed, they come because like my kids at the age where they dress themselves. This last week they've been knocking on my door every morning. Like, what y'all want us to do? Because they don't want to get yelled at because they gotta come home and they're like, yo, why you wet? And they're like, yo, Dad, have you seen what's going on out there? It's crazy. Okay, I left. It was one day. I came back. It was another day, and only 6 hours passed. And that's a valid thing. I can't front. I can't argue that. And like today, it was beautiful. When I took him to school, I pick him up. I'm getting hit by slush.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's wild. So I get it. You know, we gotta get these things under control. I admittedly do not know much about how the rainforest stuff affects us, but I understand that we need trees.
I mean, like, if what I remember from Burn Gully is accurate, if the rainforest goes down, like it's the end of humanity. At least that's what they made it seem like in that animated movie when they weren't singing Hot Stepper. So, that movie's crazy, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it recently, but that movie's wild.
Yo, that is an interesting twist on the butterfly effect. I like that. Right there. So yeah, save our trees, okay? Let's do that. And Antonio Brown says he and Kanye West are absolutely serious about buying the Broncos. That's right. Free agent, wide receiver, turned potential team owner Antonio Brown reiterated this week that he and musician Kanye West want to buy the Denver Broncos. Brown told TMZ Sports he and West are extremely serious about making a play for the Broncos before adding, "Tell NFL Commissioner Roger to call me. We're working on it. We're working towards getting it done." The Broncos were officially put up for sale last month by the Bowlen family. Longtime owner Pat Bowlen died in 2019. Per ESPN's Jeff Legwell, the Broncos are valued at nearly $4 billion, and their sale is expected to set a new record for the highest price in the history of major American sports.
Okay. Do Antonio Brown and Kanye even have the liquidity to buy this team?
Yeah, I appreciate you. Like, I gotta have some patience with these.
Yo, this is. I mean,
yeah, they're nowhere near this kind of net worth.
Yo, imagine. I know Kanye, like, supposedly his net worth is like in $6 billion or something like that, but imagine Kanye owning a football team. He'd be like, "Yo, on Sunday, y'all going out dressed as Indians. I'm talking old, like, loincloth Indians." And they're like, "You can't play football like that, bro. I'm telling you what to do." Like, it's gonna be so crazy because Kanye is he's not a rational person right now.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair to say. That's fair to say.
And Antonio Brown is cuckoo bananas as well. So the two of them having,
yo, they gonna have board seats. That's gonna be wild, man. That should not be any organization.
The only way I'll support that is if on the board they got Cameron, Dame Dash, Jay-Z. They bring back the whole Rockefeller fam. They got
you had
Beanie Siegel. They got everybody on the board.
You know how wild that is that you just, like, in that list of people, I could make a valid argument that Beanie Siegel is the voice of reason. Like, if that is what's going on in your corporation, there's problems, B. Okay? That is an issue, okay? And I want to see that. That's a drama, for sure. That'll be the first time that, like, those NFL shows, they show, like, the recording of the season, that it won't focus at all on what's happening on the field. They'll just be following these corporate meetings. Like, we got to follow this.
Who wouldn't want to be a fly on that wall, like, for that board meeting? The first board meeting, I remember half the people are high. Some people say Freeway keeps saying, "Freeway, go rock the mic." You're like, yo, there's no beats playing. We're trying to talk about strategy.
What's the key to victory? Well, we changed the acoustic settings at my house, to really emphasize our bass, and that disoriented the quarterback. You know what I mean? Played a whole bunch of hit classics.
I would
That's
say
going to be the future.
Every halftime show at a Broncos game would probably feature a rap artist, though.
Yo, low key, that's a come up. Dope. I'm with that. Yeah, you know what? I'm on board now. Never mind. I'm fully into this. You know what I mean? We're gonna have all of my favorite rap era. So if we got those rappers in charge of the team, I feel like it might lead to the first ever baggy uniform era in football. You know, like, and we can get pink uniforms with Cam. You know, we could do some changes, yo. Yeah, you know what? I'm on board with this. Never mind. Switch this up. Kanye, Cameron, y'all can design the uniforms. There'll be some weird, funky thing. I think Kanye's sneakers already he's shown an understanding of the padding that's needed to be protective in football. His blue coat that's at the gap that's real puffy. You can wear that on the field. That'll help with tackles. Yeah. Antonio, Kanye, I hope y'all succeed in this purchase. I'm rooting for y'all. This is going to be a good endeavor. Finally,
we're in the times that really happens. That's the beginning of the end.
that is going to happen the exact day the Savannah changes, the Amazon changes right there. Those two things will concurrently happen. So yeah, finally, Google is buying cybersecurity firm Mandiant for $5.4 billion. Google on Tuesday announced that it has agreed to buy cybersecurity firm Mandiant, for around $5.4 billion. One of the largest acquisitions in the tech giant's history, and a big bet that helping companies better address cyber threats can bolster its cloud computing business. The acquisition of Mandiant. Am I saying that right? You're in that field more than I am. Mandiant, I think that's correct.
Mandiant,
will complement Google Cloud's existing strengths in security. Google and Mandiant said in a joint statement on Tuesday, combined with Google Cloud's cloud-native security offerings, the acquisition will help enterprise globally stay protected at every stage of the security lifecycle. Bang, bang. Out here doing big business.
Bro, if I knew how cybersecurity works, I would be all up in that. But I just can't get into, like, I work at organizations that, like, focus on coding and data science and cybersecurity. I just can't get into it, but there's so much money to be made.
Yeah.
Like, so much. Yo, bro, tech is so crazy. I know people that got jobs as software developers that didn't know how to code.
Wow.
Like, we're faking it till they made it.
Respect.
Like, that's how robust of a industry it is, and also how hungry they are for new talent.
Yeah.
They're like, if you go on job boards, they're always looking for software engineers or cybersecurity analysts, things like that. It's a huge industry, but at the same time, it makes you. Did you ever see Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah. Dope.
It kind of reminds me of, like, that company, like, that everyone was working for. Like, I feel like that's eventually going to be these tech giants. It's going to be just everyone's working for one of them.
Right. I dig that. As a film, not as an idea. I hope that doesn't happen at all.
I dig that, being a slave. Yeah.
I'm down for this. You know what I mean? Why not? Simplify our lives. All the answers are there. It's done. I think that's like, what was it called like that too? The little, like, fake life that they lived in.
I can't remember the name of the company, but
that joke was brilliant. Yeah, that's a dope film, by the way. More people should see that. Yeah. I think it's on Hulu now. Yep. I saw it shifted over.
Oh, Netflix too.
It's Netflix. Yep. Okay. Yeah, man.
Jermaine Fowler's in that movie too.
Yeah, word. Shouts to Jermaine. That dude's out there getting busy. You know what I mean? Yeah, we need more comics getting work. You know what I mean? Tell more of these crazy stories. Okay. Tell the story of Amazon buying Mandiant for $5.4 billion. Tell the story of Kanye West and Antonio Brown buying the Broncos. Okay. We out here ready to play these roles. I'm perfectly ready to be casted as Cameron. Okay.
I actually had a daydream that I got cast. So there's this thing called the Blacklist, which is like all these unproduced movie scripts. And this organization chooses a collection of scripts every year. One of the scripts was called The College Dropout, which is about Kanye making that album and, like, getting, like, starting his rise to fame.
Yeah.
And I had a daydream that I played Kanye and I ended up with an Oscar. Because I'm like, yo, I would kill that shit. Like, there's very few roles where I'm like, I would 100% dedicate my life to this role.
Hell yeah.
During, like, College Dropout making days, after seeing a documentary, I'm like, I feel like I could do this justice. Because
that'd be awesome.
I'd be that hungry.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm rooting for you. Let's make this happen.
Thank you.
What do we gotta do to put that into production?
If you listen, please consider me. I'll rap in everything.
Oh yeah, he's ready. Brandon Collins is built for that. You heard it here first. Listeners, if you would like Brandon Collins to play Kanye West in the remaking told story of College Dropout, all you gotta do is like and subscribe to the show.
That's
okay.
Right.
If you're a Spotify, Apple podcast listener, we appreciate your ratings. 4 stars means you want the movie to be made, but you a hater. You don't want Brandon to play Kanye. Who are you? Okay. 5 stars, you believe in the vision, Brandon plays Kanye. I play Dame Dash. We make a classic.
Oh yeah.
You know,
we all self-conscious. I'm just the first to admit it.
Yo, you heard it here. Look at he been ready.
Bars.
You heard the tone too. He got the votes. He got the voice. I'm ready. You know what I mean? Do you have any articles you like us?
This is documented too, so if I do get the role and then I get nominated for like a Razzie or some shit, I just be like, oh yeah, I did. I did think I was gonna do something special.
Either way, classic speech coming soon. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what's sucks is, like, we're in a comedy, right? So like, let's say I did get this role, and like, you know, it's not good, and you and like other cops just like, yo, Brandon not do that. Brandon did not kill that. I mean, he killed the movie, but he did not kill. Like y'all would just be roast. I can just see it now, the roast that I would get in the comedy circles.
That's honestly the best part of our job, I think. Like, if we suck at something publicly, all we did was get material for our next set. Like, you would just start your album. Yup, I ate it. You know what I mean? Boom, you in. You could just talk about that for 10 minutes about how that experience went. So I'm all about it. If you got anything embarrassing you want me to play on TV, cast me, you know? I'm going to do my best, and if it sucks, I promise you I'll give you extra publicity on my next album when I talk about how shitty I did on your film. Yep. You know, so either I'm going to make your project come true, or I'm going to bring more attention to how I brought down your project. What more can you ask for?
Good story, like on a podcast and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
Like as comedians, like how many times have we all bombed, right? Like, and especially bomb in front of your friends, like in front of your comedy friends. One of my favorite stories to ever tell is like when I bombed at a private event with the homie Mike Brown. He and I were producing and hosting an event, and it was a private organization that was essentially like a NAACP adjacent, right? So they had like, you know, scholars and stuff like that. And the guy who booked this like, hey, try to refrain from like booking like really, really urban comics and try not to say the N-word. Tell the comics like to refrain from that.
Okay.
Like, cool. So we booked the show and everyone's doing pretty well. And then I go up in the middle to do a set. And I got really nervous for some reason. And I was just like, y'all niggas ever heard of, you know, this beef with Fabulous and Ray J? And this is like years after that Breakfast Club interview. Like, people were just like, what? And I just kept saying, nigga. And I was so nervous. And Mike Brown's in the back he's just laughing so hard. He's like, you just went out there and just dropped the bomb before you that's what happens with us as comedians, you know. We
mess up sometimes. It is what it is. We trying our best out here. Keep doing what we do. This has been a War Report. My name is Gastor Almonte. Subbing in for the homie Shalewa Sharpe is the homie Brandon Collins. Brandon, where can he find you at?
Folks, y'all can follow me at American Collins, AmericanCollins.com. You can check out my movie review podcast, Medium Popcorn, which is available on all podcast players. Best theme song in the game, if I can say so myself. Respect. And then also check out Drunk Black History. We have a podcast, which is kind of on a break right now because we really focus on the live shows because they take a lot of work. But you could check out the show on YouTube where you can actually see recordings of our previous shows and episodes like with Gastor and a few other comedians in our circle. So definitely check that out. And thanks so much for having me, bro. And, I'm glad y'all thought I was worthy of filling in with Shalewa because no one can do that. But just the fact that I can put in the effort, I really appreciate.
Nah, man, you did your job well. I appreciate you. And admittedly, I am definitely the least talented of the two of us. So no one can balance it out. But, we're trying our best out here. We do what we can. This has been another War Report. Catch y'all next time. Peace.